Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping are cooking up a top-secret plan to take over the world. But don't worry, they want to do it in a kind of playful way by uniting anti-Western forces and shaking up the Western dominance. These leaders have their own unique styles. Xi prefers working behind the scenes, building up his military and establishing stronger connections through trade and acts of apparent generosity. On the other hand, Putin likes to flex his muscles and show off his power, like when he tried to take over Ukraine. But that doesn't mean he doesn't appreciate China's approach. Together, these two leaders are determined to upset the Western-focused geopolitical order and gain control. They're even willing to cooperate with each other to achieve their goal. So what's their master plan for global domination? Well, before we dive into the juicy details, it's important to know that Putin and Xi have developed a deep bond. In fact, on February 8, 2024, they had a friendly phone call where they expressed their disapproval of American interference in other countries' affairs. The Kremlin even spilled the beans and shared that Putin and Xi discussed creating a multipolar and fairer world order to counter the United States and establish their own influence in areas that they believe are under American control. Signs of this cooperation were popping up all over the place. Russia has now become China's main crude oil supplier, surpassing even Saudi Arabia. This oil relationship is crucial since China imports a whopping 60% of its oil. And as if that wasn't enough, Putin and Xi agreed to collaborate on joint energy projects throughout 2024. Their conversation didn't stop there either. They also touched on the situation in the Middle East, with a special focus on Xi's approach to Taiwan. It seems like Russia has China's back if they decide to invade Taiwan. It's all sunshine and rainbows between Xi and Putin. The Chinese side has been equally friendly. According to Chinese state media, Xi and Putin agreed to pursue close strategic coordination to protect their country's security and sovereignty. They also emphasized the need to oppose external interference, especially when it comes to their own affairs. Xi even mentioned that China and Russia should create new ways of working together to maintain stability in their supply chains and industries. Clearly, a powerful alliance is forming right before our eyes. But to be honest, this alliance has been brewing for many years. The recent revelations are just a friendly reminder to the world that China and Russia are in cahoots. Now, let's take a closer look at what China and Russia have been up to in their quest for global domination. It all starts with their No Limits partnership. Back in February 2022, they announced this partnership, which coincidentally happened just days before Putin sent thousands of troops into Ukraine. This declaration didn't officially make them allies, but according to Harvard professor Graham Allison, Xi and Putin have been quietly building the most significant undeclared alliance in the world over the past decade. Allison even suggests that the No Limits partnership could lead to an unofficial superpower with the largest nuclear arsenal, both tightly aligned in opposition to the United States. We can already see evidence of their partnership in action with their recent phone call. But even before that, Xi and Putin were putting on a friendly show for the media. In March 2023, Xi visited Moscow for 3 days, solidifying their relationship and showcasing China's growing influence as a geopolitical power player. During the visit, Xi proposed a 12-point peace plan to resolve the Ukraine conflict, which Putin apparently respected. However, the lukewarm response from the United States and Ukraine suggests that the plan heavily favored Russia. This partnership is just one piece of Putin and Xi's plan for global control. They want to boost their economies, work together as a diplomatic force, and make the West feel a little uneasy. After all, the US has plenty of allies, so why can't Xi and Putin team up? But hold on, there's a potential flaw in this grand plan. While cooperation between Russia and China is nothing new, the dynamics of their relationship have changed. Back in the Soviet Union era, Russia acted as the big brother to China, providing guidance and security. But now China has taken the lead, especially on the economic front. The Wilson Center even refers to Putin as the junior partner in his relationship with Xi, implying that he has to follow China's lead to stand up against US dominance. This power shift could strain their relationship. Xi might see Putin's grandstanding as just another form of arrogance, similar to how he views the United States. This could create cracks in their alliance. On the other hand, Putin might not be too thrilled about playing second fiddle to China. He would prefer the world to see them as equals. Back in March 2023, Xi paid a visit to Moscow, and they had a big meeting. During that meeting, Putin had an important message for Xi about the Ukraine conflict. He basically told Xi that Russia is not backing down and will fight for at least 5 years. Talk about determination, huh? This message was not only meant to assure Xi, but also to strengthen their bond and show that they won't let the West dictate the outcome. It gets even more interesting. Xi and Putin have set their sights on building geopolitical influence, and they're starting with China's Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. This initiative is all about developing new trade routes that connect China to the rest of the world. China is loaning money and providing expertise to developing nations to help them build the necessary infrastructure. It's a win-win situation. The smaller nations get to modernize with Chinese support, and China gets to strengthen its relationships and reduce reliance on US support. Smart move, right? But the BRI goes beyond just infrastructure. Xi wants to make these nations interdependent with China's economy. How? Well, every country that participates in the BRI has to sign a contract. And let me tell you, those contracts heavily favor China. They have conditions that tie these countries to China in the long run. For example, they can't restructure their debt with any Western powers, and China can demand repayment at any time. That gives China massive leverage. Imagine having the power to demand instant repayment from over 100 nations. It's like holding all the cards in a high-stakes game. And here's where Putin comes into the picture. Even though Russia isn't directly involved in the BRI, Putin knows it benefits Moscow. The alternative trade routes provided by the BRI are a game-changer. Plus, the control it gives Xi and Putin over the participating nations is a major win for them. It's like a strategic master plan unfolding right before our eyes. But remember, this is all based on speculation and analysis, so we'll have to keep an eye on how things unfold. Who knows what surprises these two world leaders have in store for us next? In October 2023, Putin made a surprising move by attending the BRI summit in China. This was his first visit since the whole Ukraine invasion debacle. But here's the twist. Western powers were left out of the summit. Only those who support Xi's vision were invited. Talk about a power move. Xi used the BRI summit as a platform to promote the multipolar political spectrum that both he and Putin support. And guess what? Putin couldn't stop praising the BRI. In an interview, he said that China's cooperation concept is all about providing opportunities, not imposing anything on others. It's like a match made in heaven. Now, let's dive into the BRI and how it plays into their master plan. China is flexing its financial muscle by helping other countries build infrastructure through the BRI. It's a win-win situation. China gets to curry favor with these nations, and Xi and Putin benefit from their efforts. They position themselves as cooperative forces, all while having leverage over the countries that receive their loans. It's a strategic move that benefits both leaders. Also, Xi and Putin have another trick up their sleeves. It's called BRICS, and it's all about challenging the power of wealthier Western nations. BRICS started in 2006 with Brazil, Russia, India, and China teaming up. Then South Africa joined in 2010, making it BRICS. But here's the exciting part. In August 2023, they announced that 6 more nations would become members, including Iran, Egypt, and Argentina. These countries lean closer to Xi and Putin's anti-West rhetoric, and their inclusion could make BRICS even more anti-American than ever before. For Xi, the expansion of BRICS was a huge diplomatic victory. It boosts his status and influence, especially with African nations. As for Putin, it's a chance to show that Russia isn't isolated despite the condemnation for its actions in Ukraine. Welcoming Egypt, Iran, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia into BRICS gives Putin more influence over the global energy sector. It's a win-win for both leaders. Meanwhile, Western powers were left out of the summit. Only those who support Xi's vision were invited. Talk about a power move, right? For Putin, the addition of Egypt and Iran creates a stronger anti-West sentiment within BRICS that is ideal for his more aggressive approach. Both Xi and Putin benefit, and it's safe to say they represent the biggest voices in the BRICS economic alliance. It's a big deal. Oh, and here's another fascinating tidbit. There's talk of a potential new currency. Both Brazil and Russia have raised the possibility of creating a BRICS-specific currency to challenge the strength of the American dollar. It's like a financial revolution. While it's unlikely to be in traditional paper money form, the creation of a new currency, perhaps a cryptocurrency for international trade payments within the group, is a possibility. That would be a way to chip away at Western dominance and weaken the influence of the US dollar on BRICS members and non-members benefiting from the economic alliance. It's a bold move, right? So the plan for global control is coming into clearer focus. Through their No Limits partnership, Xi and Putin have created a bond that, although unofficial, has only deepened in the wake of the Ukraine war. China's BRI allows Xi to use his economic power to benefit both countries by creating new trade routes and gaining leverage over smaller nations that can support Russia and China in a direct conflict with Western powers. And with the expansion of BRICS, they have another tool for fostering anti-West sentiment through economic empowerment, positioning Xi and Putin as the arbiters of a new world order. It's like they're playing their own version of Risk. But hold on, there's also a military aspect to their partnership. Xi and Putin won't officially claim to be military partners, but breadcrumbs suggest that they're working together behind the scenes while keeping their relationship clandestine. They're quite sneaky. For example, they happily sell weapons to each other. Russia has been selling billions of dollars worth of weapons to China, helping China modernize its military. And while China hesitated to provide lethal weapons to Russia, there are reports of Chinese components being found in Russian-made weapons used by Ukrainian forces. It's like a puzzle with missing pieces. Oh, and let's not forget about the joint military exercises they arranged in 2023. They've been flexing their military muscles too. These exercises, held in places like the East China Sea and the Sea of Japan, are yet another example of their military cooperation. Who knows what secrets they're sharing or what strategies they're concocting during these training sessions? It's like they're preparing to team up and take on the West. Now, some people think that the Xi-Putin alliance is solely about economic power, but the reality is that it's all about building influence. Through BRICS and China's BRI, they aim to dismantle Western influence in regions that are open to their agenda. They're like two master puppeteers pulling the strings behind the scenes. And even though Russia may be seen as the junior partner in this alliance, for now, Xi and Putin are united in their efforts to establish shared global control. It's like they're plotting to create their own version of the world order. So there you have it, my friend. Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin are teaming up in the most epic way possible. They're using economic alliances, military cooperation, it's a secret, and strategic maneuvers to challenge the Western powers and establish their influence worldwide. It's like a geopolitical chess game, and they're making some seriously bold moves. Who knows what the future holds, but one thing's for sure, Xi and Putin are a force to be reckoned with.